I would like you to introduce you to Poland. Poland also borders on the Baltic Sea with its major seaport of Gdansk, um, and with its capital in Warsaw. So we'll be traveling from Vilnius through this little connection here between Kaliningrad and Belarus down to Warsaw. Again, quite a lot of low-lying area with the mountains more on the south part of the country. Poland has been a member of the European Union since 2004, has its own currency called the zloty, is a member of the Schengen Agreement, has been a part of NATO since 1999. Poland has seen its population grow quite a bit over the number of years, and then kind of flattened out around 1999 or so. Slight decline over that time, and a large part of this has been really part of people moving to Germany and the West, and then being replaced by people from Hungary and so forth coming from the East. So it's kind of been stabilized to some extent. Now, Poland is not the easiest country to work with. The index of economic freedom really way down the list, primarily because of the recent resurgence of the populist and nationalist political party. Ease of doing business is quite far down as well. So not the best country to do business in, but it's really rebounded considerably after the fall of the Soviet Union. The GDP growth was really around the same, around 5% for many years in the last 10 years. Not too bad. Big surge, big drop again, with the pandemic resurgent, and then again drop. Unemployment about 5.4% right now, not too shabby, not so bad. When it comes to the GDP per capita, Poland is quite far down, again about less than half of what the United States is. Poland is a major recipient of monies coming in from the European Union in excess of the money that is sent to the European Union. So it was really unhappy when the United Kingdom withdrew, because that's going to be less for them to get from. Poland has been devastated by centuries of war and great power competition. Poland and its citizens represented the hope that liberal democracy could be the answer to Europe's past follies with ethnic grievance, demagoguery, and the result on liberal political institutions. But after taking power in 2015, Poland's Law and Justice Party began to do away with many of the same core checks and balances and the rule of law protections that Fidesz had dismantled in Hungary, eliminating the power of the Constitutional Tribunal to review laws and executive actions, and increasing the power of political leaders to pack the judiciary with sycophants. The Freedom House's ratings, freedom in the world, Poland dropped from 93 out of 100 in 2015 to 85 in 2018. In January, the government passed a law making it a crime to claim that Poland was complicit in the Holocaust. Setting aside the question of complicity by some Poles, and there is considerable historic evidence for it, this effort threatens the core liberal democratic principle of freedom of speech, without which governments cannot be held accountable to its citizens. Poland faces attack on the the chairman of the ruling party, rule on the family. In 2015, the party swept back the power by claiming it would protect the country against refugees from the Middle East. Now he has identified a new threat: gay people. Polish religious right has long waged war in gender ideology, a catch-all term for feminism, gay rights, and anything else that involves sex and shocks grandpa. As Poles prepare to elect their representatives to the European Parliament in May 26. This was back in 2019. In what parties see as a rehearsal for the national parliamentary election in the autumn, Fisher has reviled queerness backed by the Catholic Church. Now, this was all sounding bad for Poland. However, Poland has done an absolutely incredible job of accepting Ukrainian refugees. Perhaps no thanks to the government, but people have taken into their homes over 2 million Ukrainians. Back in May of 2019, the 28 member states elected a new European Parliament, and the fear at that point was the Christian Democrats and Social Democrats their majority would end, and a defense of Europe of Christian nation states will set itself apart from the postmodern and increasingly integrated Europe open to immigration and globalization. In any case, much of the rhetoric from both sides is symbolic and for domestic consumption. Of course, politicians are always against the EU, the government there. So it's local control is the political issue. Now, things to do in Warsaw, the walking town of Old Town. This is really a beautiful area. When I first visited there in 2018, I was expecting not much, and it turned out to be a very vibrant area that warm October weekend. I just absolutely loved it. Where Warsaw was virtually leveled, and about 80+% of Warsaw was just absolutely leveled by the Germans before they left. They rebuilt it based on the downtown area here, any Old Town, based on photographs and so forth as best they could. It's just a beautiful old town. Things to see. I would recommend going to see a Chopin concert in one of the buildings. There's several alternatives. There's also the Poland Museum of the History of Polish Jews, which was extensive. I spent 4.5 hours before I even got to the Holocaust area. There's also the Museum of Warsaw Uprising, which really showed the resistance of the Poles to the Nazis, in which the Russians stood back until the Poles were eliminated, and then the Russians moved in near the end of World War II.